Coeur d'Alene versus Hayden versus Post Falls. Which North Idaho town actually fits retirees? Three towns, all within 20 minutes of each other. All three show up in every moving to North Idaho list you've ever read. Coeur d'Alene, Hayden, Post Falls, they're not the same towns. If you pick the wrong one for your situation, you'll pay for it in year one. Today, I'm comparing all three across 7 specific criteria that actually matters for retirees. One town wins on cost, another wins on healthcare, and a third wins on lifestyle. Plus, a bonus number 8 at the end, the fourth town nobody's talking about that might actually be the right answer for a very specific kind of buyer. I'm a local real estate agent. I sell homes in all 3 of these towns every year. I don't win either way on which town you pick, so this isn't going to be a sales pitch for one over the other. This is an honest side-by-side comparison, what each town does well, what each town does poorly, and which type of retiree fits each one. Counting down from 7 to 1 plus the bonus. Let's get after it right now. Number 7, weather and microclimate. Number 7, we're going to talk about the weather and microclimate. All 3 towns get real winter. Snow, cold, gray inversion in December and January, but there are differences. Coeur d'Alene is moderated by Lake Coeur d'Alene. Slightly warmer winters than the other 2. Also gets the most lake effect snow. Hayden sits at a slightly higher elevation. Fewer inversion days than Coeur d'Alene. Colder overnight lows, but often clear skies through the worst of the winter than either of the other 2. Post Falls is the driest of the 3. Lake effect, less snow, weather feels more like Spokane than lake adjacent Idaho. Winter for the retiree who wants the mildest overall winter, that is going to be Post Falls. Weather is the closest between these 3 than most people think. Number 6 is where they start to actually differ. Number 6, downtown and walkability. Downtown character and walkability. Coeur d'Alene has a real downtown. Sherman Avenue, waterfront restaurants, coffee shops, the farmer's market. Actual walkable in summer. Hayden has a main street, but it's more spread out, less of a downtown feel, more of a commercial corridor. Walkable in pockets, not the way Coeur d'Alene is. Post Falls is being revitalized. You got the Falls Park is beautiful, but downtown walkability is limited outside the park itself. Winter, Coeur d'Alene, no contest. Hey, I had a couple from Portland that loved walkable neighborhoods, started their search in Post Falls for affordability, ended up at downtown Coeur d'Alene. She told me I didn't move to Idaho to be more isolated than I was in Portland. Reasonable. Downtown matters. But number 1, resale liquidity matters more if you ever need to leave. Wait for it. Number 5, home prices and affordability. Number 5, we're talking about the home prices, the concrete numbers. In 2026, median home sell prices through the end of June, Post Falls, $530,000. Hayden, $565,000. Coeur d'Alene, $618,000. Now, a typical retiree isn't shopping at the median. They're shopping in the 600 to 1.2 million range in many cases. At that price point, Post Falls gives you the most home for the money. Newer construction, bigger lots, less premium. Hayden gives you the best value per square foot. Newer neighborhoods, family-oriented. Coeur d'Alene gives you the prestige. waterfront, premium, downtown proximity, but you pay for it. Winner on affordability, Post Falls. Winner on value per square foot, Hayden. And winner on prestige is obviously Coeur d'Alene. If your budget is under $900,000, Post Falls is a great place where you get the most home. Above $1.2 million, Hayden and Coeur d'Alene both work. Number 4, airport and Spokane commute. Airport access in Spokane commute, Post Falls to Spokane International Airport, 25 to 30 minutes. Coeur d'Alene to Spokane Airport, 40 to 45 minutes, sometimes a little longer. And Hayden, 45 to 50 or an hour, depending on traffic. Many retirees underestimate how much this matters until your kids and grandkids are visiting for the holidays, or you need to fly for a specialist appointment or a wedding. Weather delays turn a 45-minute drive into a 90-minute drive. Winner on airport access is going to be Post Falls Clear. Hey, I had a couple that came in from San Diego, 2 adult kids, both in San Diego. Grandkids visit 5-6 times a year. They chose Post Falls specifically because the airport drive is 30 minutes shorter. Over 10 years, over a dozen trips, that does add up. That's their time back. To some people, that will mean a lot. To others, the culture of whatever town they pick is going to feel like the bigger trade-off. Airport access is a convenience thing. Number 3, healthcare is a survival thing. And the rankings changes when it's about your health. Okay, if you've made it this far, you're not just curious, you're actually deciding between these 3 towns. So here's what's coming. Number 3, healthcare access, and the ranking is going to surprise you. There's a second hospital most out-of-state buyers don't even know about. Number 2 is going to be the community feel and retiree density. This is where the numbers get more subjective. And then number 1, we're talking about resale liquidity, the criteria nobody thinks about until they need it. And it's the one that determines whether picking the wrong town costs you 5 figures or 6, plus the bonus town nobody's talking about. All right, let's keep going. Number 3, healthcare access. Healthcare access, well, there's 2 hospitals to know about here in this Coeur d'Alene area, in the Kootenai County, Coeur d'Alene area. Kootenai Health is going to be the main one. Main campus is in Coeur d'Alene. It's kind of that North Coeur d'Alene. Then we've got Northwest Specialty Hospital in Post Falls. These are very different hospitals, and most out-of-state buyers don't know that. Kootenai Health is the regional referral hospital. Full ER, full trauma services, 40 physician, heart clinic, full oncology, more than 25 specialty practices. If you have a major cardiac event, a stroke, advanced cancer, complex neurology, you're most likely going to Kootenai or over into Spokane. Northwest Specialty Hospital in Post Falls is a different animal. It's physician-owned specialty hospital, focuses on orthopedic surgery, general surgery, outpatient procedures, pain management, for hip replacement and knee replacement, gallbladder surgery, most elective procedures. Northwest Specialty is an excellent place to go. In fact, I got my back surgery done there, and I felt like they treated me like a king. I was very happy with the way I was treated at Northwest Specialty. A lot of locals prefer, for the smaller, more personal setting, is the Northwest, but it's not a full-service ER, and it doesn't do advanced cardiac, oncology, or complex trauma. So drive times matter based on what you need. For Kootenai Health main campus, Coeur d'Alene, 10 to 15 minutes, maybe even shorter times. Hayden, 10 to 15 minutes, and Kootenai has a satellite clinic and specialists on the north side. Post Falls, 20 to 25 minutes for Northwest Specialty Hospital in Post Falls. It's going to be more like 5 to 10 minutes there in Post Falls. Coeur d'Alene, 15, 20 minutes, and Hayden's going to be more like 20 to 25 minutes over to there. In a January snowstorm, every one of those drives could roughly double. But here's the honest ranking. Winner, if you're likely to need orthopedic or general surgery, Post Falls, Northwest Specialty is right there. Winner, if you have a cardiac, oncology, or complex specialty need, Hayden or Coeur d'Alene, closer to Kootenai. Winner, if you want the best all-around access to both hospitals, Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai is right there. Northwest Specialty is 15 to 20 minutes. My honest take is, if you're generally healthy and shopping between these three, Post Falls is a much stronger healthcare option than most out-of-state buyers realize. Northwest Specialty is a real asset. And if you have a serious cardiac or cancer history, I would still push you to Coeur d'Alene or Hayden for that. Kootenai, proximity. Post Falls is fine if you're healthy at 65. At 75 with a heart condition, you might want to be closer to Kootenai. Number 2, community feel and retiree density. Community feel and retiree density, Coeur d'Alene has an established retiree presence, strong social clubs, church community, restaurant scene. Now, these other communities are not far behind. They're all building that, but the tourist economy shifts summer crowds significantly. You know, we are seeing that now through our July through September, especially, we get crowded. And if you value quiet, July and August in Coeur d'Alene can feel like a different town. Hayden is more family heavy, growing fast, newer neighborhoods, less established community factory, but more room to build one from scratch with other newcomers. Retiree population is growing. Post Falls is more mixed. Working class families, retirees, younger workers, less of a retiree heavy feel, more of an authentic small town character in some pockets. Winner of these established retiree communities is going to be Coeur d'Alene. And you can go into some of these North Coeur d'Alene communities and get out of some of that crowd. So there is some options there. Winner for building community from scratch with other newcomers, I got to say probably Hayden. Winner for the retiree who wants less of a transplant feel is going to be Post Falls. I had a widow move here from Seattle, 72 years old. She was alone. She chose Hayden specifically because, in her words, Coeur d'Alene felt like too many half-year people. She wanted neighbors who were there year-round. Hayden delivered. Not quite as many as those snowbirds as maybe Coeur d'Alene has. She's on a first-name basis with many of her neighbors, and within the last 2 years has built up her own little community. Community fit is the criteria that shows up, usually not year one. Trust me on this one. The bonus plus number one, we got one left. Then the bonus town. Number one is the criteria retirees almost never think about until they need to sell. Let's talk about number one of resale liquidity. Number one, resale. This is a criteria nobody really thinks about until they have to. And usually it's going to be because of a health event, a spouse's death, or a decision to move closer to grandkids or children. Now, here's the honest data. The winner depends on the price point. At entry-level prices under $700,000, Post Falls wins hands down. Medium days on market, 53 days, faster than any other three. More buyers competing at that price, faster sell. At the sweet spot, $700,000, $1.2 million, Hayden and Coeur d'Alene are similar. Hayden's median days on market, 61. Coeur d'Alene's 64. Both liquid, both moving at the top of the market, above 1.2 million. Coeur d'Alene wins clearly. Coeur d'Alene has the biggest luxury buyer pool, waterfront, downtown prestige. If you own a $2 million Coeur d'Alene home and you need to sell, you'll find a buyer. If you own a $2 million Post Falls home, you're most likely going to be waiting a long time. Why this matters? At 65 plus, if you need to sell in year 6 because of a health event, you don't have 12 months to wait for the right buyer. You need the market to move. I had a client came in from Sacramento, bought in Post Falls at 68 for the affordability. His wife had a stroke at 73. They needed to sell and move closer to their kids there in Sacramento. The house sat on the market for 7 months. Same house in Hayden probably would have sold in 3. 6 months of carrying costs, reduced offer at the end, roughly $40,000 difference. When you pick a town in your 60s, pick with 15 years in mind, not 5. Now, I'm comparing this as town, but also within each of these towns, the neighborhoods, subdivisions, those communities matter also. So you can find each of any of this within the right subdivision in those towns, but for generally speaking, I am covering this as town. Your exit market matters as much as your entry market. All right, bonus number 8. I want to talk about the bonus number 8 I was alluding to, and this is the fourth town nobody's really talking about that might actually be the right answer for a specific kind of buyer. Dalton Gardens. Now, I know many of you have heard about Dalton Gardens. Dalton Gardens is a wonderful place, sandwiched in between Coeur d'Alene and Hayden, established suburb, large lots, mostly 1 acre and up, quiet residential feel. Now, here's the honest part. Dalton Gardens is not a value play. In fact, the 2026 median sales price is about $1.1 million, up almost 26% year over year. It's the most expensive of these 4 towns by a wide margin. So who's it for? It's for the affluent retiree who wants space, large lots, most likely probably going to put in a shop, wants some privacy, established neighborhoods. It's close to Kootenai Health. It's close to downtown Coeur d'Alene, less tourist traffic than Coeur d'Alene, more established community than Hayden, and doesn't need a walkable downtown. I had a couple I worked with last year, both surgeons from LA, wanted quiet, wanted space, wanted access to Kootenai Health for consulting work. Both they landed in Dalton Gardens. They told me it was their favorite recommendation I made. The 3 towns everyone talks about are on the list for a reason. Dalton Gardens is on the list, also just quieter about it. Okay, just a few things before the comments come rolling in. None of these 3 main towns is a bad choice. They all work for retirees. This video is just about which one fits your specific situation. 2, individual neighborhoods matter more than the town. I alluded to that a little bit earlier. Coeur d'Alene Place, Hayden Lake, Dalton Gardens, Riverbend, in Post Falls. The neighborhood you pick inside the town is often bigger than the town choice itself. 3, Rathdrum is a fair question. I get asked about it every week. Rathdrum is a great town. It is priced similar to Hayden, but you do have more entry point homes in Rathdrum than you'll find in Hayden. Days on market are longer there. Absorption is slower and healthcare drive is further. For a retiree who prioritizes space and rural fill over resale liquidity and hospital proximity, Rathdrum works. And there's a big difference between South Rathdrum and North Rathdrum. So those are things that we could talk about if you're stuck on Rathdrum a little bit. For the typical retiree, it's a different persona. I'm going to do a full video on Rathdrum comparison here in a few weeks. Subscribe if you want to see it. For visit in February before you decide. I've said it in every video for a reason. 5, if you're already living in one of these towns, the video isn't about you. You know why you chose your spot. The audience is the person that is still deciding. The next video on this channel is going to walk us through some specific neighborhoods inside each of these towns that I actually recommend for any retiree. Subscribe so you don't miss it. If you want to figure out which town fits your specific situation, your timing, your health, your budget, your kids, location, the link is in the description. Send me a note. I'll tell you the truth. That is the whole point of this channel. Drop me a comment of which town you'd pick. Coeur, Hayden, Post Falls, or Dalton Gardens, or a different one, and why. And if you've already made the move, tell me which one you chose and why, and how it's worked out. Hey, I'm Reed Wilson with Revealing North Idaho. I read every comment. I'll respond. Reach out, call or text. I'd love to speak with you. Me and my team, we're never too busy for you. And if this video helps somebody else pick, share it with them. See you next week. Thanks for watching. We want to help make your move to North Idaho a smooth transition.